Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Daily Easy English Talk. I'm Emma.
And I'm Jack. Thanks for joining us. Today, we're diving into something really practical. How to talk about the things you love doing, your hobbies, your interests, the stuff that really, makes you tick.
Yeah, it sounds simple, doesn't it? But actually finding the right words clearly and easily can sometimes be tricky.
It really can.
Yeah.
People sometimes stumble over how to share what they're passionate about.
Right. So having a few simple ways to kick off that conversation, that can make a huge difference.
Absolutely. And that's pretty much our mission today. We've prepared a few key phrases, things that seem to work well for people when they share their passion.
Simple phrases, but effective.
Exactly. They're not complex, but it's the impact they have, making your interests understandable, accessible to others. That's what's powerful.
Precisely. They're like little entry points, cutting through maybe potential awkwardness and just inviting connection.
Okay, so let's get into them. We've got 5 prepared phrases lined up. First one, I really enjoy.
Ah, yes. This one's great because it's so direct. And it's clearly positive. It just signals genuine pleasure, works in pretty much any situation, casual or even a bit more formal. It's like a solid starting point.
Simple, clear, no confusion. Okay, next up, I'm into.
Yeah, I'm into. Feels a little different, doesn't it?
It does. How so?
It often suggests something more current, maybe more immersive. Like you might say, I'm really into birdwatching lately.
Right, okay, so it conveys that kind of right now energy.
Exactly. A sense of present enthusiasm often implies you're, actively doing it. It feels a bit more dynamic, perhaps, than just enjoy.
That's a neat distinction. Okay, what about this one? One of my favorite things to do is...
Ooh, I like this one. It elevates the activity, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sounds more significant somehow.
It positions it as something, highly valued in your life. It communicates importance without needing a big, long explanation. It tells the listener straight up, this matters to me.
Definitely adds a bit of weight. Okay, another useful one. In my free time, I like to.
This one's all about context.
Setting the scene.
Exactly. It clearly signals you're talking about leisure time, outside of work or other duties.
Well,
Useful for just clarifying it's a personal pursuit.
very practical. Okay, and the last one, which seems especially good for new discoveries. I've recently started.
Yes. This is perfect for sharing that sense of growth or curiosity.
Learning something new.
Right.
Yeah.
It opens up discussion about, a learning process, a new journey. People often find that really relatable. It suggests enthusiasm for discovery and kind of invites questions like, oh, how'd you get into that?
Great point. Okay, so let's quickly recap them. We have I really enjoy.
Direct and positive.
I'm into.
Current active enthusiasm.
One of my favorite things to do is...
Highlights importance and value.
In my free time, I like to.
Sets the leisure context.
And I've recently started.
Shares new beginnings and curiosity. They really are like doorways, as you said earlier. Use one, and the other person can step through either by sharing something similar or asking a question.
Yeah, and that's where the conversation really gets going.
Which brings us nicely to the next part, seeing these phrases in action.
Context is everything.
Absolutely. Seeing how they're used, why a specific phrase works in a particular situation. That's where the real learning happens.
Okay, so we're going to go through 5 scenarios, do the short dialogue, and then we'll unpack why the phrase works there.
Sounds like a plan. It helps to see the setting, the question that prompted the response, all those little details.
Definitely. Okay, first scenario, chatting at a friend's dinner party. So picture it. Casual, social, relaxed vibe.
Got it.
Okay, I'll start. So what do you do to relax after work?
I really enjoy reading historical fiction. It helps me unwind.
Okay, so the phrase used was, I really enjoy. Why is that a good choice here in this dinner party setting?
Well, like we said, it's relaxed. The question itself, what do you do to relax? It's asking about unwinding, about downtime.
Right, and I really enjoy directly taps into that feeling of pleasure, of relaxation. It's quite a gentle way to share something personal.
Exactly. And adding that little tag, it helps me unwind, directly links it back to the question. It explains the benefit of the hobby.
Yeah, it gives the why. It's not just what you do, but why it's relaxing for you. It frames it perfectly for that kind of social, gentle small talk.
Totally. It feels warm, pleasant. It's not too intense. Like saying I'm into historical fiction might sound a bit, heavier. More academic, maybe.
Yeah, possibly. I really enjoy. Keeps it light, signals simple pleasure, and it leaves the door open for follow-up, right? Like, oh, any recommendations or what period do you like?
Exactly. It smoothly shifts from a general question about routine to a specific personal interest, framed by its positive effect, shows how I really enjoy, connects a hobby to its benefit in that kind of setting.
Good stuff. Okay, scenario number 2. First day of an English class. So you're meeting new people, maybe peers, in a place where you're kind of expected to connect.
Right. Interaction is encouraged. Okay, my turn to start.
Yep.
Nice to meet you. What are you into?
I'm into photography. I love going on weekend photo walks around the city.
Okay, so here we used I'm into. How does that fit this classroom context?
Well, the question, what are you into, feels pretty common, quite informal, right?
Right.
Especially when meeting peers. It's got a bit more energy than just what are your hobbies.
Yeah, it does. And I'm into kind of matches that energy. It suggests a current, maybe quite active interest, enthusiasm even.
Feels maybe a bit more modern, colloquial, good for classmates. And importantly, notice the detail that was added. I love going on weekend photo walks around the city.
Ah, yes, that's key, isn't it? Just saying I'm into photography is okay, but a bit vague.
Right. Adding the photo walks detail makes it concrete, visual. It tells them how, where, when you do your hobby.
And that gives them immediate things to ask about, hooks for the conversation.
Exactly. Like, oh, cool. What parts of the city? Or what kind of photos do you take? Or even, do you use your phone or a camera?
It turns the general interest into a specific activity they can picture. So yeah, this example shows how I'm into, signals that current passion, and adding a specific example makes it much richer, invites follow-up. Great for meeting new people in that kind of peer group.
Okay, next up. Scenario 3. Lunch break with colleagues. Think typical office break room chat, maybe about weekend stuff.
Got it. Casual work chat.
Okay, I'll ask. Got any weekend plans?
One of my favorite things to do is cook with my family. We try a new recipe every Sunday.
Okay, the phrase here. One of my favorite things to do is, why does this work well over lunch with colleagues?
Well, the question, got any weekend plans, is super common, right?
Yeah.
Asking directly about leisure time, responding with one of my favorite things, kind of elevates the activity you share.
Yeah, it makes it sound special, significant. Like, out of all the things you could do, this one is important.
Exactly. It adds that layer of personal value. And often, like in this example, these favorite things involve people you care about, like family or a regular routine.
Right. The try a new recipe every Sunday part. That adds warmth, makes it relatable. You can picture it.
Totally. It paints a little scene. And it invites questions like, oh, what kind of food? Or who's the head chef? You know.
Yeah. So it answers the weekend plans question, but also shares a personal highlight, often linked to a routine or family. Shows how one of my favorite things conveys that importance, especially when talking about free time.
It builds that connection through shared experience. Lots of people cook or spend time with family. It's relatable.
Makes sense. Okay, scenario 4. Meeting a neighbor at the park. So an unplanned meeting, shared space, leads to small talk.
Right. Incidental conversation. Okay, I'll start this one. It's such a nice day. Do you come here often?
Yeah, in my free time, I like to walk my dog and listen to podcasts. It's my daily routine.
All right, so the phrase is, in my free time, I like to. How does this fit the park encounter?
Well, the question, do you come here often, is tied directly to the location of the park. It's asking about why you're there regularly.
Okay.
So responding with, in my free time, I like to, gives the perfect context. It links your being in the park to your general free time habits. It explains why you come often.
Okay. It connects the place to the activity. And here, the person mentions two things, walking the dog and listening to podcasts.
Yeah, combining them paints a fuller picture of how that time is spent. It's not just dog walking, it's dog walking plus audio content.
And adding it's my daily routine really hammers home the regularity, directly answering the come here often part.
It feels quite functional, factual, but still shares personal habits. Like, you could say, in my free time, I like to jog around the lake here, or in my free time, I like to bring my kids to the playground. It links the place and the activity.
Right. So this dialogue shows how, in my free time, I like to, is great for describing regular habits, especially when the conversation starts, because you're in the place where you do the habit. Simple, descriptive, gets the info across clearly.
Perfect. Okay, last one, scenario 5. Online video chat with a new language exchange partner. So you're there specifically to talk, learn about each other, share culture.
Okay, focused interaction.
My turn. What do you usually do in your free time?
I've recently started painting. I'm still learning, but it's really relaxing.
Okay, and the phrase, I've recently started. Why is this particularly useful for a language exchange partner?
Well, in language exchange, you're often sharing life updates, trying to find things to talk about. Talking about something new, something you're exploring is usually interesting.
Yeah, it gives you fresh material.
And I've recently started is perfect because it introduces something new without you having to pretend you're an expert, which you might not be, especially if you have just started.
Right. And adding, I'm still learning, that's really useful here, isn't it? It manages expectations perfectly, shows you're open about being a beginner.
Yeah, it lowers the pressure, makes it easier to talk about, maybe invites your partner to share their own beginner experiences or give tips if they paint too. It shows vulnerability, which can be good for connection.
Totally. And again, adding the benefit, but it's really relaxing.
Yeah.
Gives context, explains motivation, makes it relatable.
Definitely. And the opening question, what do you usually do in your free time, is just a standard, broad way to get the hobby conversation going. Very common in these exchanges.
So responding with, I've recently started, is a great way to share something current, maybe invite them to talk about their own new things. It fits that learning context well.
Yeah, shows you're open to new stuff, open to learning. Excellent for that kind of interaction.
Wow, okay. So going through those 5 examples, you really see the different flavors, don't you? Enjoyment, enthusiasm, value, routine, newness.
But they all do that same basic job. Share something about yourself simply and naturally to build a bridge.
They really are useful tools.
Yeah.
And the analysis shows you don't need to overthink the language. Simple phrase, name the hobby, maybe add a tiny detail or benefit.
And you're off. Conversation started. Because just knowing the phrases isn't quite enough. You got to use them well.
Tip number 1 is pretty clear. Keep it simple.
Cannot say this enough. Simplicity is key, especially when you're maybe speaking a language that's not your first, or even if it is. Simple sentences, clear words. It just avoids confusion.
It makes it easier for everyone involved, less mental effort.
Exactly. Clarity is the goal. Connection is the goal.
Not showing off your vocabulary.
Right. Keep it simple. Tip number 2. Use these phrases as conversation starters.
Yeah, don't just wait to be asked. Be proactive.
Exactly. If you see an opening, take it. Like the examples we mentioned, to see someone with a camera, maybe say, oh, I'm into photography too. Are you shooting anything interesting today?
Or if the topic comes up naturally, like if someone mentions needing to relax, you could say, yeah, I really enjoy gardening for relaxation.
It makes you an active part of creating the conversation. People generally like talking about things they enjoy.
True. So if you share first, it often encourages them to share back. Breaks the ice, gives you both something concrete to talk about.
It's like handing them a conversation topic on a plate. Here's mine, what's yours?
Yeah. Which flows right into the 3rd tip, which is maybe the most important for keeping it going.
Absolutely crucial. If someone shares their hobby with you, show interest.
Yes. This is the back and forth part. If they open up, you got to respond in a way that keeps the ball rolling. Oh, that's nice. It can sometimes just end it.
It really can. You need to show you actually heard them and you're curious. How did you get into that?
Ah, yes. That question is pure gold. It's open-ended, it acknowledges what they said, and it asks for the story behind it.
Exactly. It's way more engaging than just like, why do you like it? Which can feel a bit blunt. How did you get into asks about the journey?
Yeah, how did you get into bird watching? Or how did you get into playing the ukulele? It invites them to tell you a little narrative.
And that often leads to more interesting details, personal anecdotes.
Yeah.
It deepens the connection because you're learning about their history with the hobby, makes them feel heard.
It turns a statement into a pathway for more chat instead of a dead end.
It's a fantastic tool. So the phrases, the building blocks, and then this guidance. Keep it simple, use them proactively, and show genuine interest, especially with that great question, how did you get into that?
It really provides a whole little toolkit for handling this common conversation scenario. Makes it feel much less daunting.
Yeah, it boils down to being prepared with a few simple ways to share and then being genuinely curious about the other person.
So let's kind of wrap up what we've covered in this deep dive. We've seen that talking about hobbies, it's really fundamental for building connections. It's your go-to for small talk, for building rapport.
And we looked at those 5 key phrases from the material. I really enjoy, I'm into, one of my favorite things to do is, in my free time, I like to, and I've recently started. Simple, natural, effective.
We saw them in action in those dialogue, dinner party, classroom, work break, park, online chat. Saw how context and adding a little detail makes a big difference.
And we covered those key tips. Keep it simple. Use the phrases to start conversations yourself. And crucially, show interest in what others share, maybe using that magic question. How did you get into that?
It really comes down to being ready to share a bit of yourself and being ready and willing to listen and ask about them.
And hopefully these phrases and tips give you the foundation and the confidence to do that.
Definitely. So here's a final thought for you to mull over. Think about how just sharing one simple interest, reading, hiking, whatever it is for you, how that small act could open up a totally unexpected connection or conversation this week.
Yeah, what new interaction might spark just from sharing something you enjoy or asking someone else about theirs? It's a small thing with potentially big results.
Right. Now, speaking of conversations, sometimes, even when things are flowing nicely, maybe talking about hobbies, you hit a word or an idea you don't quite get.
Oh yeah, happens all the time in real conversations. Perfectly normal.
And that leads us perfectly into our next deep dive. We're going to be looking at how to politely and confidently ask for clarification in English conversations.
Ah, a super useful skill. The perfect follow-up, actually.
Exactly. It equips you for those moments when any conversation, whether it's about hobbies or work or anything, throws something unfamiliar at you.
Helps you stay in the loop, understand fully, and keep participating. Vital stuff.
So we really hope this deep dive today has given you some practical tools and a bit more confidence for sharing your interests.
Yeah, give these phrases a go. See what conversations open up when you talk about your hobbies.
So make sure you subscribe to Daily Easy English Talk so you don't miss it.
Please do. And maybe share us with a friend who's also working on their English conversation skills.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Bye.